Thor makes rain. Rain grows food. Let's make the most out of Thor's gift. That's right. Today we're looking at how to capture and store as much rain as we possibly can. And this might be something you're thinking, why would a heathen care about capturing and storing rain? One, Thor gives us rain, or Freyr. Well, who do you think gives us rain? Thor, Freyr, maybe both? Most of the lore says that Thor gives us rain. So let's honor him by taking advantage of that gift, because life needs water and water is life. If we're using rain, we can not only grow food, fiber, fuel, and medicine, but if you're in an area with abundant rain, maybe you can create a fish pond or a stock pond and create a even larger, more diverse ecological biosphere that can support more wildlife and offer more to Midgard, all part of saving Midgard. As you know, I'm a huge proponent of growing your own food, fiber, fuel, and medicine. One, primarily to honor our ancestors, because they did that. Another reason that catching and storing water is important is that by utilizing the rainfall in your area to the best of your advantage, you are honoring the land and you're giving something back to the land material. We're going to be covering how to capture all the rain that falls on your land, store it in the soil, or move it to somewhere where you can store it in the soil, or possibly a pond if you have an excess of rainfall, like some people in the Midwest do. I'm very jealous of you. I only get 12 inches of rain a year. It's not much. We're also going to look at hard surface water catchment and storage. One real quick number that we should throw out there that's kind of impressive. 1 inch of rain over an acre, also known as an acre inch if you want to sound like a farmer. Hey, Bobby, how much is an acre inch? An acre inch is 27,154 gallons. That's a lot of water. So going back to me saying that I only get 12 inches of rain. Yeah, I only get 12 inches of rain, but I'm on 20 acres. You do the math. 325,844 gallons. That's a lot of water. If only I can put that all to use. Hopefully over the next couple of years I will. An important thing to remember when we're catching about water harvest or rain harvesting or water harvesting, you gotta slow it, sink it, and spread it. Neither one is more important than the other, but you want to slow the water, sink it, and spread it across your landscape to best utilize it. And the following strategies that you'll see in the video are how you can do that. The first and the best way to store water is in the soil, because once you have it in the soil, if you have good ground cover and good organic matter, it can stay there for a really long time. And the plants will use it, they'll sweat it, and it drifts back out, and that water's there, and it's very effective. Trees create windbreaks and shade, and so shading the ground helps reduce evaporation, as does the windbreak. So if you have a multi-layered canopy, canopy trees, smaller trees, shrubs, herbaceous layers, and ground cover, and solid ground cover, you're not going to have a lot of evaporation, and a lot of that water is going to stay kind of isolated in that area and be available to the plants. The caveat for that is you need a high organic matter in the soil. You need, the organic matter acts like a sponge and it holds that water in. And so if you have low organic matter, you need to be focusing on raising the organic matter in your soil. You can do that by adding compost. The best way is to grow cover crops and use the cover crops to add organic matter to your soil. If you want to learn more about that, check out this video on your screen, Making an Offering to Hela. That's right, Hela can help you grow crops. Or Hel. You pronounce Hela or Hel? Leave a note in the comments. And then, like I said, having 100% ground cover, no bare soil. Bare soil is dead soil. It doesn't have that sponge-like effect, and you're going to either water won't penetrate it to be absorbed and held in the soil. It'll just sheet off, and that doesn't work in the slow it, sink it, spread it triangle. And if you want to sink it, you have to have good infiltration. That means a high organic matter. Shooting for 10 to 12% organic matter. If you can get better, that's awesome, but that's a great goal, double-digit OM. That said, we've only covered sinking it. If you want to slow it or spread it, you might have to look at terraforming your land. If you're on flat land, this doesn't really apply, but in my experience, there's no such thing as flat land. On my property, I'm using a combination of two techniques, terracing and swales. You can see that in the screen right now. And a swale is a ditch, but in this practice, they're on contour or slightly off contour. So the water is slowed down as it comes down the hill. It hits that ditch and it has to spread out across the landscape. And that way you don't have all your water going to a gully and just washing downstream. And as it travels through that on contour ditch at 0% grade or maybe 1 or 2%, which is a non-erosive grade, if you have high organic matter, that water will be absorbed into the soil and be available for your. Should you be one of those people who lives in a high rainfall area, even with your swales and or terraces to slow down and spread out the water, you might have so much water that even with a high organic matter, you can't utilize everything. You still have runoff. This is where ponds come into play. I don't have that much water, but I still have ponds on my property. And ponds are really beneficial because they let you store a lot of water. They also offer an incredible ecological benefit because the pond adds more edge. It's an entirely different ecosystem. So you have a pond ecosystem next to a garden ecosystem or a pasture ecosystem, a savanna ecosystem, whatever. Wherever you have multiple ecosystems meeting is an edge. And the edge of two different ecosystems is where you find the highest levels of biodiversity. If you want to know more about the specifics of building a pond, that's pretty detailed and it's beyond the scope of this video. If you're into that, leave a note in the comments and I'm happy to put something together in the future. Now on to the stuff that most people think about when they think of rain harvesting, and that would be water catchment off of hard surfaces, primarily roofs. And the roof of anything from your house to a chicken coop can be a great place to catch water from. However, at this point, I really need to throw out that the average 50-gallon rain barrels that you can buy at the box stores, Home Depot, etc., those are a disaster waiting to happen. And here's why. Remember that number, 27,154 gallons over an inch per acre? Well, let's reduce that to a square foot. What do you got? 0.6 gallons. It's actually a fair amount of water, a lot more than most people think. And this is where those 55-gallon rain barrels are a disaster because it really only takes like 90 square feet of roof to fill one of those up with 1 inch of rain. I bet where you live, most of your rain comes in storms bigger than 1 inch, and most downspouts on most houses cover more than 90 square feet. So then you get this rain event, water comes down, hits the gutter, goes down the downspout, fills up that rain barrel that you've created a nice level spot for, and it's right next to your foundation, and the barrel overflows. Where does that water go? It does damage to your foundation or actually gets into your crawl space or basement. You don't want that. You want this water to be water that you can use, not water that's destroying your house. So if you want to catch water off of your roof or off of a hard surface, make sure you calculate the area and know what like a big rainstorm is, how much, like what's the most you'll need to be able to capture. And if you use it all, it'll be empty before the next rain event. You might want it 3 or 4 times bigger than what a average rainstorm can deliver, because you might not be able to use all that water in one sitting, so to speak. Personally, I will be adding some rain tanks, but those things are expensive, right? I mean, look at them online. They're just buco bucks. I don't know about you, but I can't afford one of those. So what I recommend is to build a timber frame pond to the specs that you need, the right amount of gallons, and have an overflow for it, that even if you have that monster rain event, that 100-year rain event, that when that tank overflows, it's going somewhere else. Personally, I'm building timber frame ponds at my place, not because I necessarily want to use the water for irrigation, although an adventure into aquaponics is probably going to be based upon having these. I'm building them because in my context, I live in a very fire prone area. I want to have these tanks to catch water off of my roof and store it in those tanks That way I have, just a little bit of insurance and something that I can fight fire with. That said, by storing the rest of the water that falls on my property in the soil and having a more green, vibrant homestead, I'm already a little more fire safe than neighboring properties that don't do anything to catch water, and it's dry and barren in August and September when we have fire season. I'd be remiss to overlook this one little hard surface water catchment opportunity that most people overlook, and that's roads and driveways. As we've covered, 100 square feet is a fair amount of water with 1 inch of rain. 3 inches of rain, it's a lot of water. So also as you look at utilizing swales and or terraces to move water away, look at how you can use your roads and driveways to harvest water, create either rain gardens or move it to a pond, etc., and best utilize Thor's gift of rain. Thor makes rain, rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey, and whiskey makes my baby feel a little frisky. Doesn't really work too well. Maybe I ain't no country singer. I don't know. Gosh darn.